With a standing ovation, I'd like to welcome the 32nd President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afam Osigwe Josiah, which is his middle name, SAN, as he makes his remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much. Please sit. I would have loved to adopt the already established protocol because Mr. Julius Malema, our keynote speaker, has to leave here this evening in a short while because he has to catch a plane back to South Africa. But that would be unkind if I fail to recognize His Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Simba, the Deputy Governor of Enugu State, and the Deputy Governor of Benue State, who are here. And the Sultan of Sokoto, who is the chairman of this occasion, Saad Abubakar III. If you're looking at his dressing, you may be forgiven for not knowing that he retired as a general, brigadier general in the Nigerian Army. And Mr. Malema, our acknowledge some more when I present my address. Our distinguished colleagues, please. Everybody is special to us and you're duly recognized. But I'm also personally recognize the GOC 82nd Division, General Oti Olatoye, yes, who is also here in his personal capacity as well as representative of the Chief of Defense Staff. All protocols are hereby duly adopted. I address you with great honor and joy at this opening ceremony of the Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference here in the historic and lively city of Enugu. Enugu is fondly referred to as a coal city. It is a treasure trove of history, culture, and natural beauty. It is a city built on hills and surrounded by crouching hills. Breathtaking waterfall, intriguing caves, scenic beauty, and some of the best local eateries for serving oba, abacha, achicha, fio, and many other local delicacies. Of course, not to be forgotten are the Udi, Enugu Ezike, and Egbe Etiti palm wines. Enugu holds a special place in the country's development, playing a significant role in the coal mining industry that once flourished here. The city's legacy of resilience and transformation inspires us as we gather under the theme of this conference. On the 18th day of November 1949, the city witnessed the Kulere Massacre, also known as the Eva Valley shooting. On that day, a British superintendent of police, F.S. Philip, who I'm sure may go down in the Hall of Infamy, commanding several British and Nigerian police officers, ordered the shooting of unarmed and protesting coal miners of the Eva Valley coal mine, who were on strike. 21 striking miners and a bystander were shot dead. The miners were fighting for wage arrears, owed to them for a period of casualization. The ethnic, regional, and even class divisions in Nigerian society were temporarily set aside and supplanted by a collective momentum to do away with British rule. The shooting fueled sentiments among many Nigerians, and especially among Eastern Nigerian groups, who used the shooting to fuel their cause for independence and to push the British imperial administration out of Nigeria. According to Ndukeze, and I quote, the radicals and the moderates, the revolutionaries and the stooges, the bourgeoisies and the workers sang their differences, remembered the word Nigeria, and rose in revolt against evil and inhumanity. The Eva Valley coal miners made tough choices to redefine themselves, enduring challenges to emerge stronger. The theme is more than a slogan. It is a charge to stand out, to be visible, not for show, but for service, excellence, resilience, dedication, focus, perseverance, and service to prosper. To stand tall is to uphold dignity, integrity, and honor, even when the odds are stacked high and difficult decisions must be made in the best interest of the legal profession and the country. Standing tall means being unbending in our defense of the rule of law, equity and justice, and being principled in the face of power and unwavering in our pursuit of national progress. We must have the courage of conviction in moments where silence would otherwise be more comfortable. To build a strong and economically viable nation, sacrifice will routinely be required of individual citizens. We must do this when others are mediocre. This is a call we must embrace. Dear compatriots, leadership, as we say, is not a popularity contest. Competent leadership requires understanding of issues, vision, and the courage to make decisions that will help to take the people from one situation or place to a surpassing one. It requires forward thinking, focusing on development projects that will position our country as a global city. The show off that will position our country as a global city. The show of decisive or determination may be misunderstood if the leader decides to chart a course or disparate direction to a desired expressional future. Leadership must stand out by crafting solutions, potential, and stand tall by making the tough decisions. As Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum said, try to achieve the impossible and direct your people to ways of achieving it. Stand out, stand tall is therefore an inspirational call to the legal profession to lead with distinction, sacrifice, determination, and resilience. It challenges us to rise above ordinary, deliver excellence, and make the difficult decisions necessary to secure Nigeria's future. For Nigerian lawyers and leaders, standing out means pioneering innovative solutions for justice and economic progress. Standing tall means embracing tough choices, enduring their immediate challenges, and trusting in all their ultimate benefits. We must be seen as spectators, not as spectators, but as leaders in the movement to revive Nigeria's economy, restore public trust, and reposition our country for greatness. That is what it means to stand out. That is what it means to stand tall. No economy ever stood tall on imported effort. Indeed, no economy stood out in mere consumerism. Let the conference inspire a fresh resolve that in every courtroom, boardroom, chamber, and community we touch, we will lead with excellence, with courage, and with vision. At this defining moment in our nation's history, continues to evolve, and our economic realities challenge us daily. We must collectively ask, how can the legal profession stand out in rebuilding confidence in our institutions? How can we lead national conversations that truly matter? That we are honored to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Julius Malema, the President of the economic freedom fighters of South Africa. We'll get there. He's eager to let us listen to him. The choice of Julius championing the marginalized and confronting systemic inequalities through the EFF. His call for bold, often painful decisions offers a powerful lens for Nigerians' aspirations. His push for systemic change in South Africa urges us to ask, how can our legal system empower entrepreneurs, protect workers, and ensure equitable access to opportunities? His advocacy for economic freedom speaks directly to the urgent conversation we must have in Nigeria. Whether one agrees with his methods or not, his consistent call for Africans to own their economies reclaim their dignity, and define their destiny resonates deeply with our theme. His presence here today reminds us that the legal profession does not exist in a vacuum. We are part of a broader African movement, a movement for economic sovereignty, independence. We eagerly anticipate his insights on how the legal profession can drive economic transformation through tough but transformative choices. Nigeria must make serious decisions for economic growth, and this includes anti-corruption measures, regulatory overhaul, investment in infrastructure, innovations and digital literacy, diversification of the economy. These decisions may inflict pain and disrupting established systems, challenging vested interests, and requiring sacrifices from citizens, institutions alike. However, history shows that such decisions, history shows that such pain is often the precursor to progress. By enduring short-term challenges, Nigeria can achieve lasting improvements, a thriving agricultural sector, a transparent economy, and an environment where every citizen has a fair shot at prosperity. The NBA, as the conscience of the legal profession, must also make tough choices to lead Nigerian transformation by reforming legal education, expanding access to justice, advocating for judicial independence, embracing legal technology, to mention a few. These choices may not be easy. They may restrain resources, spark internal debates, or challenge long-standing practices. But by standing tall through these difficulties, the NBA can lead the legal profession to new heights, ensuring that we are not just practitioners, but catalysts for Nigerians' growth and development. The NBA has a storied legacy of defending human rights and judicial independence. I particularly, therefore, in ending my address, acknowledge the support and presence of our host governor, Governor Peter Ndubisimba, who did everything possible to make sure that today has become the reality it is. And I also thank His Eminence, who at great inconvenience to himself, having been traveling between Sokoto and Zuru to condole with the family of the late Emir of Zuru, took a last-minute decision to be here and made a wonderful presentation that I believe has inspired others. It inspired me. Your Eminence, we are very grateful. And numerous other dignitaries who have made this day the beautiful day has become. We can't thank you enough. I once more warmly thank our distinguished keynote speaker, whose bold decision for economic justice and African unity will help set the tone for conversation on how we confront Nigerians' economic challenges. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the NBA Annual General Conference Planning Committee, the leadership of the NBA Enugu branch, the local organizing committee, and all the other branches in Enugu State. Your dedication has created a platform for us to reflect. Over the next few days, we engage with thought leaders from law, governance, economics, technology, and civil society, and encourage us to participate. Let this city inspire us to embrace the difficult decisions like the Eva Valley coal miners, that we unlock Nigerians' economic potential and strengthen our profession, knowing that the pain of today will yield the prosperity of tomorrow. May our deliberations be bold, our resolutions transformative, and our commitment to justice unwavering. I welcome you all once again to the 2025 Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. Let us stand out, let us stand tall, and let us move Nigeria forward. Thank you, and may God bless all of us.
Please, another round of applause for that. Straight from the heart talk. We're winding to a close, and we'll have two speakers before His Excellency, Executive Governor of Enugu State, to open officially this event. And so may I invite Comrade Deji Adeyanju to introduce the keynote speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, let me appreciate His Excellence for making out time to join us here today, and also the Executive Governor of Enugu State and leaders in the profession, all protocols duly observed. My job here today is very simple and also very hard at the same time. Simple because I've been saddled with the responsibility of introducing a man, a Pan-Africanist, a true son of Africa, that I can resonate with. I resonate with his ideology. But very difficult at the same time because I've been given less than 2 minutes to make such an introduction. So indeed, it is a Herculean task. Here before us today at the annual general conference is a man, a true son of Africa, a Pan-Africanist, a shining light of resistance, whose exploits at promoting transparency, constitutionalism, accountability and rule of law are too numerous to mention. He continues to fight against inequality, corruption, oppression in South Africa. His loud voice of reason continues to echo across the continent. He calls for South Africans to see Africans as their brothers and not their enemies. He is a powerful voice, not only in South Africa, but on the continent and globally. Julius Malema is our keynote speaker for the annual conference, and he brings his wealth of experience as a resistance and a movement leader in South Africa. He was the former president of the ANC Youth League, and he is the current president of the Economic Freedom Fighters in South Africa, a movement and a political party that resists oppression and corruption and continues to challenge unconstitutionalism in South Africa. His sacrifices in South Africa and the continent has come at great cost of arrest, persecution, and intimidation. But Julius Malema continues to stand tall. Join me as I welcome this true son of Africa, this Pan-Africanist, and a man for all seasons, Julius Malema.
I greet you all. I further greet all members of the Nigerian Bar Association. Greet all members of the Nigerian Bar Association who are present here today, representing the legal fraternity of this great country, which remains a friend and ally of South Africa and her people. I'm humbled that you saw it fit to invite me to give an address to annual general conference, and by extension, that you saw it necessary to invite the EFF to give this keynote address. I imagine it was not an easy for a group of members of the law profession to reach consensus on who will address them, because your profession by nature is one of robust debate and contestation. So I understand here today. I stand here today proud because I know I'm a product of a robust debate and agreement, but it is a profession characterized by sacrifice, intellect, and a commitment to interpretation of the past in order to achieve justice, fairness, and victory in the present and future. For the activists, we have a history and dialectical materialism to guide us into leading society towards a better tomorrow. And for the legal profession, you have indigenous law, common law, case law, the Constitution and statutes, an objective reality to achieve not only personal victory, but to establish collectively laws that will govern others for decades to come. Our duty, however, and primary responsibility is not to maintain laws simply because they exist as they are today. Our duty is not to be instruments of injustice and neocolonialism. It is to be agents of change, and this demands of us to be brave enough to identify unjust laws, speak out, and form part of those that work tirelessly for our judiciary to be of service to our people. I say this not to encourage anarchy or lawlessness, but to draw us back to the difficult truth and reality that at times the laws has been used as a weapon of oppression. It has taken lawyers and activists to walk side by side, hand in hand, to stand up against laws that perpetuate the undermining of the dignity of the people. And we must all be alive to this history and this possibility today. This becomes even more important for us as Africans because for centuries, our very existence has been unlawful in the eyes of the oppressor. Our indigenous laws have been treated as inferior to Roman Dutch law or English law. To be an African has meant that for generations, we are not worthy of the laws and the rights that make us human beings. And for that reason, it was legal to abuse us, to enslave us, to steal our mineral wealth and oil, and to destroy and kill our heritage, history, and even our lives. The legal profession you belong to, the political system we belong to, the judiciary and parliaments were created without us in mind. They were crafted at our exclusion and built to sustain our suffering. We now sit in the corridors which were built to break the back and the soul of African people. The demand then from those who died at the hands of this institution that we now serve is that we transform them so that they become instruments of the people. The demand then from those who died at the hands of this institution to maintain the status quo. But we are here to make our profession serve the African child. I wish to remind you that it was once legal to come to the shores of our great continent and kidnap Africans and enslave us in foreign lands. It was once legal to rape African women and children because they did not have the right to dignity of their European oppressors. It was once legal to take our land and our minerals because, according to the law of the white man, we were not civilized enough to control our own land and our own wealth. In South Africa, our freedom, our oppression, our resistance all had law at the center of it. Under apartheid, it was legal to restrict the movement of Africans to labor reserves called townships and to teach us inferior education so that we could only be servants of white masters. All of those problems were legal, and it took brave men and women to say that if the oppression of Africans is lawful, then such a law is unjust and must be opposed. Today, as our continent is troubled by corruption, leaders who utilize state machinery to sustain their rule at the expense of the poor and the African lives in abject poverty, activists to once again stand up for what is right. We must all ask ourselves whether the time has not once again arrived for liberation to be achieved against the sale of our nation to recolonization, and whether this fight must not begin by reimagining our laws for the better. We must therefore reach into this deep history of resistance and solidarity which is shared by our two nations in order to achieve the goal of restoring the humanity of Africa and her people. My brothers and sisters, the humanity of Africa is at the center of what the EFF stands for. We are an organization that was formed in 2013 purely out of the demands of the people of South Africa who wanted an alternative to the former liberation movement to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. We are an organization which is born out of the blood of slain mine workers in an area known as Marikana, where 34 miners were shin-style, and the 13th anniversary of their execution was this month on the 16th of August 2025. Yet the families have not seen any justice. No one has answered for this. It is out of this deep pain and disregard for African life that the domestic workers, miners, gardeners, petrol attendants, street dwellers, university students, professionals, and ordinary people of South Africa demanded that we form the economic freedom fighters. We were formed to complete the liberation struggle, which was faced by compromise, betrayal, and corruption of the mission for the return of the land and wealth of South Africa to the hands of the people. As a result, we base our struggle on these lived realities, and we are guided by a scientific ideological outlook of Marxism, Leninism, and the teachings of Frantz Fanon. Fanon, in the context of Africa, becomes most important as we face with a continent that is becoming more and more dependent on the former colonial master, and our liberation movement abandoned the struggle which led to the formation in favor of life of opulence while the people suffer. We are Marxist because we believe in the inherent need of an alternative economic system to capitalism, and we use the science of dialectics to wage our struggle for liberation. We are Leninist because we believe in the need for a vanguard party of the people to lead the struggle, one which believes in internal democracy and the waging of struggle in parliament, the judiciary, and at the grassroots level. We are anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-racist, anti-sexist organization which believes in democracy and socialism as a means of uplifting ordinary masses of our people. At the foundation of the EFF are what we refer to as the 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars, which are expropriation of South Africa's land without compensation for equal redistribution in use, nationalization of mines, banks, and other strategic sectors of the economy without compensation, building state and government capacity, which will lead to abolishment of tenders, free decolonized education, healthcare, houses, and sanitation, massive protected industrial development to create millions of sustainable jobs, including introduction of minimum wages in order to close the wage gap between the rich and the poor, massive development of African economy, and advocating for a move from reconciliation to justice in the entire continent. Open, accountable, corrupt-free government, and society without fear of victimization by state agencies. These are briefly the guiding principles which make us, as the EFF, a revolutionary movement. Compatriots, the need to do away with injustice of the past demand that we create laws for the future. It automatically mean that infrastructure of our legal system itself becomes independent. Our duty as lawmakers, as practitioners post-independence, demands of us to scrutinize existing laws and where necessary make amendments or even introduce new laws to liberate our people from the parasitic oppression that they are exposed to. The EFF, which has been in Parliament of South Africa since 2014, is engaged in this practice, and we have been able to implement our vision, mission, and identity into our approach to governance and lawmaking. A few examples of how we have interpreted what needs to change at the level of governance and legislation in South Africa to enhance the cause for liberation is the introduction of the bills that we have put before Parliament. The nationalization of the Reserve Bank Bill, which seeks to place full control of South Africa's Reserve Bank, particularly monetary policy, in the hands of the state. Further to this bill introduced by the EFF in Parliament seeks to broaden the mandate of the Reserve Bank in South Africa, which currently has private shareholding, towards alleviating unemployment and curbing economic stagnation, which is due to the Reserve Bank conservative and financial sector-orientated policy outlook. The Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, will in South Africa deal with a problem facing the whole continent, and that is the unregulated borrowing of the money by our government from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. This bill, which we have introduced as the EFF, will require that National Treasury in South Africa first seek approval from Parliament to source foreign loans and establish transparency regarding such loans and their conditionalities. The debt trap of Africa to our foreign colonizers must be stopped, and that begins by regulating these loans that our leaders commit future generations to, because they will not be there when the colonizers come to collect. The Student Debt Cancellation Bill is a piece of legislation introduced by the EFF to ease the debt burden of young students who cannot access their qualification, seek employment using their qualification, or pursue postgraduate studies because their qualifications are withheld due to debt. Student debt is an obstacle to the youth who have no source of income because they cannot access their degrees, and equally cannot generate a source of income because they cannot prove that they are qualified due to
Hey, it's your dry skin. Help me lock in moisture now and feel it long after with CeraVe Moisturizing Cream.
Tired of old school marketing tactics? Forget outdated email, cold calling, and SMS marketing. It's time to evolve. Embrace WhatsApp for better customer connection in 2023. I use Wadi to send targeted, interactive WhatsApp messages with dynamic videos and images. It gets way better open and response rates than email and SMS. Wadi offers integrations with Shopify, WooCommerce, and your CRM. Has everything you need to upgrade your workflow. See for yourself. Sign up for a free Wadi trial. Smart tools for smart businesses. Leave email and SMS in the past. Take your marketing into the future of Wadi.
rate. How can you issue a tender to buy toilet paper? How come Director General doesn't know where the toilet papers are being sold and go and buy the toilet papers himself instead of issuing out a tender that is unnecessary? There are certain things that can be done by the government without involving the outside players. We don't want alcohol advertised in South Africa because they advertise alcohol through the means that is not a true reflection of alcohol. Why are you not advertising alcohol with drunkards and show people what alcohol will do to them? It cannot be that alcohol is advertised only with beautiful people at the beach. It must be a true reflection of what this will do to you. We have done the same before by banning the advertisement of cigarette in South Africa, and what is to follow is alcohol. The EFF is also engaged in many other programs that seeks to empower our own communities and make sure that there is local procurement. Why should a prison in Enugu should buy vegetables in Lagos? They must buy where they are to promote local economy and to promote their own economic growth. We cannot allow a situation where people who do not come from where we come from are actually not benefiting from what their government can provide. Compatriots, I must reiterate once again that it is a deep honor to stand before you today in Nigeria, in Enugu State, a country that holds a special place in the hearts of all South Africans who understand history, who value solidarity, who appreciate the sacrifice made by others in the cause of our freedom. Nigeria is not just another African country to us. It is a comrade nation, one that stood firmly by our side during our darkest hour. When South Africa was shackled by apartheid, when our people were murdered, imprisoned, and denied basic humanity, Nigeria rose as a giant for justice, placing South Africa squarely at the center of its foreign policy. Former President Murtala Mohammed famously declared that Africa had come of age, that the continent will no longer tolerate interference from outside powers, and this still rings true today. Nigeria set up the Southern African Relief Fund, mobilizing its citizens to contribute to the liberation struggle. Even as it faced its own challenges at home, these initiatives raised millions of dollars to support the liberation of South Africa. People paid directly from their salaries to contribute to the liberation of the people of South Africa. Nigerian students sacrificed a portion of their income through the Mandela Tax, which supported an educational training program for black South Africans, and successive Nigerian governments never stopped in their material and moral support for South Africa's liberation. In fact, Nigerian government boycotted the 1976 Olympic Games and the 1979 Commonwealth Games in protest and in opposition to apartheid government. We cannot forget all those who stood by us during difficult times. Nor can we forget that when Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, one of his earliest international visits was to Lagos and Abuja to personally thank the Nigerian people. This gesture are foundation of a bond sealed in blood and sacrifice. However, this history must not remain in the between South Africa and Nigeria, must be carried forward into the present, not just in political sentiment, but in concrete economic collaboration. Both our nations stand as giants of the continent. South Africa, with its industrial base, mining capacity, and advanced financial system. Nigeria, with its vast, vibrant entrepreneurial spirit, oil and gas resources, and cultural dynamism that has captured the imagination of the world. Together, we hold the keys to Africa's industrialization and economic independence. Consider what lies beneath our soils. Nigeria is blessed with abundant oil, natural gas, and growing agricultural sector. South Africa holds some of the richest deposits of platinum, gold, manganese, and coal in the world. Combined, we possess the minerals that power modern technology, the energy resources that fuel global industry, and the human capital to build a self-sufficient continent. Yet, both our nation remains trapped where our raw materials are extracted cheaply and exported to Europe, America, and Asia, only to be sold back to us at crazy prices as finished goods. This is a cycle of dependency we must break. The path forward is clear. Nigeria and South Africa must industrialize together, build factories together, and process our resources on African soil. Imagine a joint program where South African mining expertise is combined with Nigerian oil wealth to create African-owned energy and resources conglomerate, one that refines, processes, and manufactures for Africa and the world. Imagine agricultural cooperation where Nigeria fertile lands provide food security for the continent, supported by South African machinery, logistics, and technology. Imagine a collaborative investment in renewable energy where South Africa's solar potential and Nigeria gas reserves are harnessed to build an integrated African power grid. Already, we have glimpses of what is possible. South African companies such as MTN, SPAR, ShopRite, and MultiChoice have made significant inroads in Nigeria, creating jobs and bringing services. Nigerian businesses, investors, and cultural industries have equally expanded to South Africa. Nigerian music, filmmakers, writers influence South African culture, just as South African universities and industries provide platforms for Nigerian talent. But this cooperation has been uneven and at times marked by suspicion and the painful experience of xenophobia. Let me be unequivocal here. Xenophobia is a betrayal of African unity. It is a sickness born of poverty, inequality, and government failure. But its victims are our African brothers and sisters. Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, and Somalis are not the cause of the South Africa's unemployment crisis. The cause lies in the untransformed economy of South Africa, which remains in the hands of white minority and multinational corporations who continue to exploit labor while refusing to industrialize. Attacking fellow Africans diverts anger from the real enemy, and we must educate our people that unity, not division, is the solution to the African crisis. If we want to end one-way migration, where Nigerians are forced to leave home in search of opportunity in South Africa, we must integrate our economies. Young Nigerian engineers should be able to work in Johannesburg, Gaborone, Windhoek, Harare, Cairo, and Accra, not as foreigners, but as Africans contributing to Africa. South African entrepreneurs should be able to set up in Lagos without suspicion, but with support as partner in the shared future. We must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people. We actually do not need a visa. We don't need a visa between South Africa and Nigeria. In the same way, we don't need a visa for our people to travel in their own continent. We are one. Both South Africa and Nigeria know the pain of colonialism. Both have faced internal divisions. Both have endured the pressures of global imperialism that seeks to divide and exploit and control us. Both know that the only path forward is Pan-African solidarity. We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing. Our salvation lies here in Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans who refuse to be divided. Together, Nigeria and South Africa can lead African continent free trade area not as a paper agreement, but as a living reality that changes the lives of ordinary people. Together, we can demand fair trade, protect our industries, and invest in education, technology, innovation. Together, we can prove that Africa is not a begging bowl, but a continent of giants. We must prove to the whole world that we are not xenophobic, we love one another. Black people are not loved in Africa and are not loved outside Africa. We have a duty to love ourselves and show the whole world on how it must treat us. We cannot treat each other badly and expect other people to treat us much better. How you treat your own brother and your own sister, it's how you teach others outside how they must treat. The unity of our continent is paramount, and we must never associate with any xenophobic agenda that perpetuates the divisions in South Africa. Solidarity is what we need for each other. My comrades, as I close, I want to state that as Africans, our fight has never been confined to the borders. From the very beginning, the struggle of South Africa against apartheid, we knew that suffering of one oppressed people anywhere in the world is the suffering of all oppressed people everywhere. It was in that spirit that South Africa during its liberation struggle was embraced by Nigeria and other African nations, who declared that apartheid was not simply a South African problem, but an African and global crime. It is in that same spirit that today we say our liberation as Africans will remain incomplete if we turn a blind eye to the struggles of those who continue to suffer under occupation, colonialism, imperialism, and economic exploitation. It is this tradition of solidarity that compels us today to speak clearly on the struggle of other oppressed people. The EFF continues to stand firmly with Western Sahara, Palestine, Cuba, Haiti, the Democratic Republic of Congo as a commitment to international law and justice. In Western Sahara, Morocco's continued occupation violates the principle of the United Nations Charter and the African Union's Constitutive Act, both of which enshrined the right to self-determination. The International Court of Justice affirmed in 1975 that Morocco had no sovereignty over Western Sahara, yet decades later, the Sahrawi people remain dispossessed. In Palestine, we are witnessing one of the gravest violations of international law in modern history. The apartheid regime of Israel has for decades defied UN resolutions, the Geneva Conventions, and international humanitarian law. Collective punishment, the bombing of hospitals, the illegal taking of land, the killing of children, and the deliberate starvation of populations are crimes under the Roman Statute of the International Criminal Court. The world cannot remain neutral in the face of genocide. And just as apartheid South Africa was declared a crime against humanity, so too must be the international community recognize and act against Israel's apartheid and genocide. The importance of fighting on the level of the law was made evident in this case when the South African government took Israel to International Court of Justice to report their crimes when no other country will do so. This fight in international court was won when the court declared that indeed Israel was perpetuating genocide, a win that was necessary to sway some support away from Israel and to embolden other countries to speak out. This fight also led to the International Criminal Court to issue a warrant of arrest for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Minister of Defense for war crimes. This is the power of the legal fraternity in the global fight for the oppressed. However, the ICJ pace is slow and final judgment on charging Israel with genocide has not occurred yet. We must therefore confront the uncomfortable truth that the slow pace of these proceedings is not accidental, but reflects a global legal order designed and maintained under white supremacy. International law is swift and ruthless when prosecuting leaders of the global south, yet hesitant and cautious when dealing with crimes committed by Western powers or their allies. This is hypocrisy we must name without fear. When an African leader is accused, indictments are issued overnight, sanctions posed immediately, military interventions justified under the banner of international law. However, when Israel starves children in Gaza or the United States and its allies invade nations and topples governments, the same institutions suddenly discover restraint, complicity, and delay. As the legal fraternity of Africa, you cannot accept this double standard. You must be bold enough to create alternative and fair systems of accountability that do not bend to imperialist interests. If the so-called international community is unwilling to deliver justice in real time, then Africa must advance its own courts, its own tribunals, its own instruments of solidarity and protection. Just as we build liberation movements when colonialism denied us freedom, so too must we build new legal institutions when the existing ones fail us. In Cuba, for over 60 years, the United States has imposed an economic blockade in contravention of international law, including the principle of non-interference and the sovereign right of nations to choose their social and economic system. Despite this, Cuba has demonstrated a profound commitment to human solidarity, sending doctors across the globe, including to Africa, welcoming Africans into their classrooms and participating in the liberation of the oppressed. Cuba never sent their soldiers anywhere to kill anyone. Instead, they send their doctors all over to go and save life. The tragedy of Haiti is one of historical injustice. Haiti's revolution was first declaration of black freedom in the modern world, yet it was punished with centuries of economic sabotage and enforced debt. Contrary to any principle of justice, today, Haiti suffers from foreign interference, the denial of sovereignty, and the imposition of external governance. International law demands reparation, debt cancellation, and the withdrawal of foreign forces so that Haiti can govern itself in dignity. We have seen DRC not experiencing peace because of its mineral resources. We must stand with DRC and demand that there must be permanent peace in DRC and everywhere else in Africa. Because DRC without peace, it will never experience economic growth. We are because DRC it is. We are the people of Southern Sudan. We must make sure that no single corner of Africa there are guns where Africans are killing each other. Africans must always be together against the enemy forces who want to exploit our country. We are here today to reclaim our land. We want the land of Africa to be returned to Africa because it belongs to the Africans. We want the minerals of Africa to be returned to the Africans because that's where they belong. We want to build industries in Africa and process our minerals here in Africa. We've got the capacity. We must never allow the imperialist forces to divide us in order to take our minerals from us. We demand one Africa. We demand borderless Africa. We demand Africa with one president, with one currency, with one military command, with one parliament, because we know the currency of Africa will be much more stronger against the American currency. We don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. We are not subject of Trump. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump. We must stand together as the world changes and show the world that Africa is one and Africa is equal to all nations, to China, to Russia, to America. We are not just a small nation. We are a big nation. We are not a dark continent. How can we be dark when we've got diamond that is shining amongst us? We are a shining nation. I thank you.
Please, another round of applause. We're pleased to have in our midst Her Excellency Gil Lever, Officer of the British Empire, Deputy High Commissioner, British High Commission, Abuja. Please put your hands together for her.
Ladies and gentlemen, please can you give him another round of applause? Awesome. Thank you, Comrade Deji, for that very powerful introduction. I now have the honor and privilege to announce our next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with a standing ovation, let us make welcome our host, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, Mr. Peter Umba.
Please sit down. Please, let's be seated. Thank you. The Deputy Governor of Enugu State, His Excellency Ifeanyi Osai, the Deputy Governor of Benue State, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ode, the Chairman of this occasion, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Mohammed Said Abubakar III. And perhaps I should also remark that even though the president of NBA had alluded in his remark the remarkable sacrifice His Eminence made to be here today, what is even more impressive is the fact that a lot of us didn't know, and I only became aware that today is actually the birthday of His Eminence. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me invite all of us to please stand up and sing a happy birthday song for His Eminence. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Congratulations. And may God bless your new age. The Speaker, Ekiti State House of Assembly, Honorable Adoyi Stephen. The representatives of the CJN and the President of the Court of Appeal, the Chief Judge of Enugu State, His Lordship Justice A.R. Ozemene, the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afam Osigwe, SAN, the Chief of Defense Staff, ably represented by the General Officer commanding 82 Division and Commander of Operation Udoka, Nigerian Army, Major General O.T. Olatoye, the Secretary of the Board of Civil Defense, Customs, Immigration, Major General Abudu Malik, and our charismatic keynote speaker, Mr. Julius Malema. We recognize you and welcome you and other members of your team to the historic city of Enugu. The former Attorney General of the Federation, Prince Adetokunbo Kayode, SAN, the President of the Customary Court of Appeal, Enugu State, His Lordship, Justice G.C. Nnamani, Honorable Judges of the Enugu State Judiciary and judges from other jurisdictions that are with us here, Chairman, Body of States, Attorney General of the Federation, Dr. Ben Odo, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Enugu State, Dr. Kingsley Ude, and various state attorney generals that are here with us. The Chairman, Council of Legal Education, Chief Emeka Ngige, SAN, the Director General of Nigerian Law School, Professor Isa Yahatu, SAN, members of Enugu State Executive Council here with us, senior officers of various security agencies serving and retired here with us today, the past presidents of Nigerian Bar Association here with us today, the Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Enugu State Chapter, Chief VC Odo, and other chairmen of various state chapters of NBA here with us today. President, African Bar Association, High Chief Ibrahim Mak, President and members of the Pan-African Lawyers Union, the chairman and members of local organizing committee, our revered royal fathers with us here today, special advisors and senior special assistants with us, distinguished delegates, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and genuine delight that I welcome you all to Enugu, the historical capital of Eastern Nigeria, and now for this week, the proud capital of the Nigerian Bar Association. And I think a lot of the previous speakers have already alluded to the rich history of this state and how hospitable we are. And so please, when you hear no, 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 don't mistake it as if we're saying no, no. We're saying no with emphasis. And that's because hospitality is in our DNA. They say when two lawyers gather, you have a debate. When three lawyers gather, you have a tribunal. And when 20,000 lawyers gather, well, Enugu becomes the safest city in Nigeria. Because who would dare break the law this week? On behalf of the government and the good people of Enugu State, let me extend our heartfelt gratitude to the leadership of the NBA for choosing our city to host this year's conference. Our gratitude to the NBA president and his executive committee for this honor. We're deeply proud to receive you all here in our midst. Though I must confess as a governor, the thought of so many lawyers gathering in one place does make me a little more careful with my words. Your presence here is both a privilege and a reminder of the important role Enugu continues to play in our national life. I welcome again the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence, Dr. Mohammed Said Abubakar III, the birthday boy. Welcome. A national icon and a tireless voice of unity. This is homecoming of sorts. A boy. Welcome. A national icon and a tireless voice of unity. This is homecoming of sorts, officer. I also welcome the charismatic keynote speaker, Mr. Julius Malema, founder and leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters and member of the South African Parliament, and a strong advocate for African unity. This city has long been home to some of Nigeria's finest legal minds. Names like Justices Anthony Aniagolo, Augustine Nnamani, and Nnemeka Ago still inspired today. And as we welcome you, we're also conscious that we stand in the footsteps of that legacy. Now, while some might say government and the bar have a relationship full of compassion and strong arguments, I prefer with a shared purpose, ensuring justice, strengthening democracy, and building a society where the law protects every citizen. That is the bond that unites us. As some of you know, before politics, I was one of you. I know what it means. I know what it means to carry a heavy case file and whisper a silent prayer that the judge might grant a little indulgence on a late filing. That shared journey makes today especially meaningful for me. Since assuming office, we have made justice sector reform a cornerstone of our governance. Just a few examples will suffice. We were among the first states to fully implement financial autonomy for the judiciary in line with Section 121, Sub 3 of the 1999 Constitution. This has enhanced the efficiency, independence, and dignity of our courts. We have carried out a comprehensive rehabilitation and digitization of our courtrooms across the 3 senatorial zones. The High Court complex in Enugu is equipped with e-filing, virtual hearing facilities, and an integrated case management system. To decongest our courts and promote alternative dispute resolution, we have strengthened and expanded the Enugu multi-door courthouse, making it a model in the region for commercial and family dispute settlement. Through partnership with civil society and the NBA, we have expanded access to pro bono legal services for indigent citizens and detainees, especially in our rural areas. No one should be too poor to afford justice. We have also carried out an extensive codification and review of obsolete state laws to reflect modern realities, ensure gender justice, and promote the ease of doing business in Enugu. And perhaps one of the reforms that I'm proudest of, we introduced real-time transcription for our courts, attaining verbatim reporting for the courts, has eliminated the strain of longhand recording on judges, cut down on delays, and improved productivity. None of these reforms are an end in themselves. They are part of a broader vision of making Enugu the preferred destination for investment, innovation, and inclusive development. From smart schools, safe communities, to accessible healthcare, our vision cannot be achieved without a justice system that is fair, functional, and trusted. But distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this week is not just about policy and reform. It is also about hospitality, connection, and renewal. And I assure you, in Enugu, hospitality is one thing. Between your plenaries and breakout sections, I encourage you to make time to experience the beauty and rhythm of Enugu. Enugu is famous. Please take a stroll through Polo Park or the Unity Park just across the street for a leisurely walk under a canopy of trees, or simply enjoy an evening of abata, opa, and a freshly tapped palm wine. As I like to tell our visitors, you cannot really say you attended a conference in Enugu until you have had suya at midnight from one of our street vendors. But don't worry, unlike in court, here, no one will object if you ask for extra pepper. Let me conclude by saying this. The theme of this year's conference, Stand Out, Stand Tall, is a timely reminder of our responsibility, the responsibility we bear as lawyers and leaders. The law is not just a profession, it is the conscience of the nation. We're not just only courtroom advocates, we're also defenders of truth, architects of peace, and champions of equity. As governor, as a lawyer, and as a fellow Nigerian, I'm excited about the conversation that will take place here in Enugu over the few days. May they inspire new ideas, new partnerships, and renewed commitment to justice and nation building. Normally, when lawyers gather,
got a great business idea? Give it a domain name from GoDaddy. Every order comes with our effortless AI experience, GoDaddy Aero, which will generate a logo, landing page, and more for you in just a few clicks. With our award-winning support, it couldn't be easier to start an online business with us, which is why we're trusted by more than 20 million customers. Unlock your online potential today with GoDaddy.
Thank you. Thank you. May your discussion be fruitful. Tomorrow is here. May God bless NBA, God bless Enugu State, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Can we please give our host a round of applause, please?